In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
All right, so here we are again at Franklin Armory. If you may remember from SHOT Show, we were one of the first to debut the Providence rifle, which is, as Jay's going to describe for us.
Yes, so the way the Providence is designed, it was set up for sales overseas, but we found that there's been some interest within the United States. And basically what it does is it's a non-semi-automatic, but what it does is it goes bang every time you pull the trigger, and I'll show you. As you pull the trigger, you see the let me get this tag out of the way. As you pull the trigger, the carrier comes back, and as it comes to a certain point, it breaks away from the trigger, scoops up around, puts it into the chamber. It has a locking rotating bolt, which you might be able to see from over there, but it locks it into battery, and a fixed firing pin attached to the carrier moves forward and detonates the round. Round goes out the barrel, nothing else happens at that point. So there's no open bolt that would allow any kind of carbon to come into the action. So you go to fire again, as you pull the trigger, it extracts and ejects the spent casing, gets to the point again, and goes forward and scoops up yet another round. The important part with that is to realize that there's never a loaded round in the chamber, ever, which makes it one of the safest guns out there.
It's fantastic. I know there was a lot of speculation when this gun was introduced. Everyone was running rampant on the internet with saying, what makes this one so different? What makes this one special? Nobody could really figure out what it was that was so innovative about this one versus everything else that was on there. And people were saying, well, it doesn't have a gas operating system. Well, how is it going to work? And nobody could really describe. I likened it to the feel of a revolver.
Exactly.
In the regard that every time that you would squeeze the trigger, it would bring one round up behind the firing pin and it would fire that one round. But you guys have an innovative name for what you call this system.
Yes, so we were joking around the shop one day and we decided to call it digital action. There's nothing electronic about it. It's just a matter of moving it with your digit.
And one of the things that's nice about this particular firearm is that we have a lot of your not-so-free states like New York and New Jersey and California, being that this is not considered a semi-automatic rifle, it doesn't fall under a lot of the same regulations that other semi-automatic rifles have. So you can have a shorter barrel, you can have a bayonet lug, you can have a flash suppressor on there, you can have a quote-unquote muzzle device for it. You can have a top carry handle, which we can't have in New York State for whatever reason. Collapsible stock because it's considered just a carbine. It's not considered...
Well, it is a rifle, but it would not be a semi-automatic rifle.
Right.
And if you're in the state of New York, I know I've reviewed the statutes there, and their definition of semi-automatic does require the use of the gas to propel the action in some way, whether blowback or direct impingement, piston, or what have you. So this would be compliant in New York to the best of my understanding. And I'm not an attorney, but I have spent some time at a Holiday Inn.
Yeah, because we reviewed it when you guys introduced us at SHOT Show. I spent a lot of time reviewing it because we're anticipating being among some of the first to actually test this when it comes out. And we wanted to make sure that we were going to be in compliance when this gets shipped to New York. Last thing we want to do is be on camera videotaping ourselves committing a felony and falling under the bad graces of Emperor Cuomo. So we wanted to make sure that this was going to be legal for you to ship to us. And I can't wait for this thing. And a lot of people have said, well, why would you want something that looks like an AR that's not an AR? Well, for the states like mine that are still under control of less than friendly forces, this may be just about the only option that we have to have something that responds and reacts the same way that an AR platform would. Now, what calibers are we going to be having this in?
So we're going to start with 9mm, but we're also going to do 10 and 45, probably a 22 long rifle version down the road as well.
That's great. Now, well, a 22 would be really nice because it's going to be one of the least expensive options to go out there plinking with. You have to. So we have a little bit of traffic coming in between us and the camera, but you're going to have to bear with us just a minute. That's all right. These guys, that's all right. We're going to put this back because I want to get these guys on camera for a minute. Gentlemen, I want you to come over here for a minute. Here, you throw this back up.
Okay.
While you guys are over here, I'm going to pan the camera. While we're waiting for him to come back over and explain, Is there anything about Franklin Armory that you guys, what caught your eye that decided that you say, you know what, these people are over here filming an interview. I don't give a damn. I'm going to walk right in between them and the camera and just stand here. What was it about Franklin Armory? Was there anything in particular that you guys noticed?
At your MP5.
Which one?
MP5 is this one.
Oh.
Yeah.
We've got a binary firing system for the HK platform.
Yeah, Jay, come on in.
So with this, this one's set up on a SP5K, but it also works on the HK 91, 93, and 94. And it's a selectable trigger system with safe fire, and then of course binary, where it'll fire when you pull the trigger, and then when you release, it'll fire again.
Which you guys are famous for. Right,
it's our bread and butter for sure.
Right, fantastic. Now, guys, I want to thank you real quick. I know we caught you off guard, but we like to get an unsolicited opinion from people as they're walking by, because while these guys are selling the product, we like to get the opinion of the consumer as you're passing. But now I'm going to throw you the hell out of the booth because we got one more thing we want to look at.
And here is our AK sample. These are going into production. We have another selector for here. If you happen to have a true AK that the holes line up, that'll work out fine. But basically, 3-position selector again. I know a lot of folks like the fact that an AK has full auto in the middle. We thought that all of our other guns have had the binary at the bottom or at the 3rd position, and we wanted to maintain that consistency. So what we've done is we spent extra effort working on the selector to make sure it is really robust so that you can't miss the point. But the one at the bottom is where we have the binary mode.
Now, what's your price point going to be on something like this as opposed to one of the other binary triggers that you have for the AR platform?
Because there's a lot more to this design, and there's actually other patented or patent pending articles that we had to incorporate into this design. It's a bit more than your typical AR trigger. So we're at $499 with this one, and we are doing pre-orders. Distributors and dealers have been pre-ordering, as well as consumers have been pre-ordering on our website.
And when are these going to be ready for
We're hoping
delivery?
to start shipping these at the end of June and get them on the road finally. It's been a long wait. We found that there's some different things that we wanted to make sure that we had compatibility with. We found some interesting things with the 9mm. They're actually inverted.
And plus, you have so many manufacturers of AK right now that you have to make sure your tolerances are always going to be just right on to fit across that whole spectrum.
Exactly.
Now, as far as the Providence, when can we expect this to come out of R&D and into the hands of T&E? Because I need to test and evaluate.
So our engineer, Ryan, he's brilliant, but he's sitting down and going over each part and recutting it each week and optimizing each part. We rushed it to get it to SHOT Show because we thought it was so unique. And so for now, we're going back and optimizing each part so we can get a super smooth trigger pull. I'm a collector of Smith & Wessons, and I love the trigger on a Smith & Wesson, so we're trying to make it as smooth as that and lighter than that if we can.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you guys are aiming for, between 4 and 5 pounds of
Correct.
trigger pull on the Providence. That's going to be a hell of an engineering feat, and that's I'm going to hold you guys to that standard.
Okay, well, we're going to do our best to make it.
Fantastic. Well, there you go. Everything that you guys want to know from Franklin Armory, check them out. If you want to throw the website out,
www.franklinarmory.com.
Fantastic. Jake, thank you so much.
Pleasure, Frank.
All right. I get to take it home now.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers.
Infinite rights when politicians take from you and me the very